Scrum Masters are not supposed to code, right? That's what the Scrum Guide says. But the truth is, if you don't understand key technical skills, you'll struggle to earn the respect of your developers, and you'll always feel one step behind in conversations. And what does that result in? Less progress for your team. This video will run through 6 key technical skills, and the last one is a skill that almost every Scrum Master overlooks, and it's the one that will make you sound instantly credible with the technical team. Hey, I'm Wasim. I worked as a delivery manager across multiple technical teams from software products to data platforms, and I've seen both types of Scrum Masters, the ones who get dismissed because they don't understand the work, and the ones that command respect even without writing a single line of code. And today I'm going to show you 6 technical key skills that you need to be in that second group. Before I begin, let's be clear. I'm not saying a Scrum Master needs to be a developer. Your job is to coach, to facilitate, to remove blockers. But in the real world, fluency in technical topics helps massively. You don't need to code, but you do need to speak the language well enough to bridge that gap between developers and stakeholders. Think of it like traveling abroad. You don't need to be fluent, but knowing the basics changes everything. So, skill number 1, the first skill is understanding the software development lifecycle. At a high level, this means knowing how work flows from planning through coding, through testing, deployment, release. And why does this matter? It's because most of those blockers happen at those handoff points. Here's an example. Imagine your sprint is falling apart because QA is late. If you don't understand flow, you might just blame testing. But if you do, you can ask smarter questions. Was code late to QA? Were the automated tests failing? Was staging unavailable? That makes you a problem solver and not just a note taker. You're the one connecting those dots. Skill number 2, understanding continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines, CI/CD pipelines. Put simply, this is what happens after a developer pushes code. Automated tests run, code gets deployed to staging, and then if all goes well, into production. And here's why this matters. I once saw a sprint potentially was going to be delayed for an entire week because the deployment pipeline was broken. But fortunately, the Scrum Master understood CI/CD and saw where the problem was. They didn't need to fix it, but they knew to escalate it as a blocker right away. That saved time and frustration. When you know the pipeline exists, you can ask, is this a coding issue or a pipeline issue? That one question can really move things along and it'll make you look pretty sharp. Skill number 3, understanding technical debt. Think of technical debt as a shortcut. It'll help today, but it'll create bigger problems down the line. Generally, sprints will build up technical debt as a result of getting to the target, getting the sprint goal accomplished in time, and just skimming over a few issues. What developers would like then is some time to fix that debt at a later date instead of building new features. Because obviously, if you continue to build new features and continue to increase the amount of technical debt you have, then sooner or later something is going to fall down. It's sort of like repairing cracks in a dam before it bursts. You can carry on building for a while, but eventually you have to address those cracks, otherwise there goes your dam. And if you don't get this, you'll just end up slowing things down. And if you can explain this to stakeholders, you then become that translator, someone who can help leadership understand why that debt matters. And that doesn't mean diving into the code yourself, but it means translating for the team. And that translation makes you indispensable, because that's not something that developers can always do. Skill number 4, basic architecture and systems thinking. You don't need to draw complex diagrams, but you should know what an API is. You should understand that there's a front end, a back end, and a database. The reason for this is that projects live and die by dependencies. If you don't understand where these dependencies lie, then the flow of your project is going to be hampered massively. I once worked with a Scrum Master who couldn't understand why a feature was ready. It turned out the team was waiting on changes to 3 systems that she didn't even know about. And after learning the basics of architecture, she was able to ask the right questions. And as a result, flow increased, as did her credibility. Skill number 5, reading metrics and logs. Yes, we look at burn down charts, we look at velocity, we look at cycle time, but I'm talking about technical dashboards here, so error logs, Jira reports, etc. And why does this matter? Because it gives you that independent visibility. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you what's wrong, you can see for yourself. Is the pipeline failing tests? Is the production throwing errors? You don't need to go ahead and debug, but if you can read the signs, you can escalate faster, and again, you protect your team from that unnecessary pressure. All right, the final skill number 6, understanding infrastructure and architecture as code. This is where teams use tools like Terraform or CloudFormation to define the infrastructure in code. Servers, databases, environments, all versioned and stored in Git like normal software. Now, why does this matter to you as a Scrum Master? because it changes the way risk works. If a production server goes down, a traditional setup might take days to rebuild. With infrastructure as code, you can roll back, rebuild within minutes. And the Scrum Master who can explain this to leadership, don't panic, the team has blueprints, we can rebuild this very quickly, this isn't a disaster. That ability to translate complexity into calm, that's where your leadership comes through. So there you have it. That's 6 technical skills that every non-technical Scrum Master needs. The development lifecycle, the CI/CD pipelines, technical debt, basic infrastructure, metrics and logs, infrastructure as code. You don't need to code, but if you speak that language, you'll earn the respect of your developers and you'll deliver results faster. If you're serious about becoming a high-impact Scrum Master, the next thing you need to watch is this Master, where I run through key skills of a top Scrum Master. Thanks for watching, everybody. Press like, and if you haven't already subscribed, press subscribe. And if you can, share this with as many people as you can so that this message can spread further. Thanks for watching.